Okay, thanks for coming today to Sector T 2018, and today we're going to talk about getting the parts for this jointer planer I'm going to build. And if it's your first time here to my channel, would you look on your screen there and see and click the subscribe button and become a subscriber to my channel. That way you can keep updated with all the videos I'm making on building this. So today I'm going to list out how I've figured out what parts I need for this. First thing I did is I went online, and you can go to like the Harbor Freight or even Dewalt and look up parts of the machine. What they do is they show the parts diagram of the machine. So for that gives me a sense of how the machine works. And so on a planer, you've got the Cutterhead, and then you got in feed roller and an out feed roller, and then you got the mechanisms to lower and raise the cutter head. Obviously you got the motor, and then you have a flat reference or a flat plane here that the board rides on. So those are essentially what you need for a planer. Most of the parts are pretty straightforward. You know, this is the cutter head I got. I got it off eBay for $50, and then some shipping fees. They range, yeah, from 50 to like 80, and then you have some folks that try to sell them for $200, which if you're gonna if you're gonna buy this for $200, you might as well just buy one of the shelix cutter heads, or really get a nice one. Or you could just buy a new machine and be done with it. So I got that, and then at first I went to Harbor Freight and bought a 1.5 horsepower motor, and I got the warranty on it, like $160 with coupon and stuff. But I realized that the RPMs on that was going to be too slow, because a planer needs to run at least 8,000 RPMs. So I got on Craigslist and got a better deal. This is an old Shopsmith that runs at 3550 RPM. It's 3/4 horsepower. So even though it's lesser horsepower, we'll see how it goes. And then for the pulley selection, you have to calculate, you know, the how fast you can turn that cutter head with your motor. So I've got a 3400 RPM motor. So how am I going to make that cutter head spin faster? And that's with a large pulley and a small pulley. So this pulley, it's a 17 millimeter automotive alternator pulley, 6 grooves. And then I've got an idler pulley. That's like 5.5 inches. And this is a 5/8 shaft. And when I said 17 millimeter, I meant 17 millimeter shaft. I think it's like a 54-inch pulley. And then the belt, I tried to get the smallest belt at AutoZone, and they don't really make 6 groove K-series belts that are short at AutoZone, or they don't sell them. The shortest I could get was like, I think it was like 30 some odd inches. So I was able to get like originally a 5 groove belt, and that was about 28, but it was still pretty long. I'm guessing it was 28. So I was like, well, when I tried to match it up, like the motor was all the way up here to get any tension. So I was like, no, that's not gonna work. So I broke down and I bought online at like V-Belt Supply, and they sent me a belt, or I ordered one for about 15 bucks. And this is a 24-inch belt 6-groove case series. And the part number is 240K6. Easy enough, right? And I like this because I kind of want the motor on top of the cutter head. This would be where the cutter is. That way it puts weight down there. So the reason why I went with automotive parts is that I was cheaper. This was like 18, this was like 11. If I went industrial, it had, and the big benefit of like an industrial pulley is you have the keyway already cut out for you. But here, I'm trying to do this a little cheaper, so you'll see this in another video of how to make the keyway. See the keyway. And I'm still finishing it. How to make that, you know. I'm gonna finish these off with some high-speed steel. So I've got pretty much all the parts I need. What I'm not showing you here is the big thing I had to make a decision on is the roller feeders. Now I'm trying to use parts I have. So with the feed rollers, you've got to power those somehow. So I was thinking about, oh, I've got another motor that belonged to a disc sander I have, but I can't really get it out. It's a little hard. So with that, I was thinking to, okay, well, it might mean some other motor. But with the feed rollers, it is complicated. You've got to, you know, get sprockets and a chain, which I have, but it's like the wrong sizes, and you got to get it at a certain feed rate. And so that was beyond what I feel like I'm comfortable with doing. So, and then, one more thing. I was, at first, like with feed rollers, I'm like, wow, these are expensive to buy. And I looked at, you can make them probably out of like wood and PVC pipe, and then you take like a tire rubber, like a bicycle rubber or something, and you just glue it and wrap it around there. And that seemed like a cheaper way of making the feed rollers. But, you know, I read comments about planers, and a lot of people have problems with feed rollers. Like they get gummed up with dust. So the way I'm going to go about doing this is kind of based on using a router planer sled. So this will be a sled that this slides on. So I'll kind of have rails here, and I'll just like slide as it moves. I'll have to push it myself. I really think that's the way to go. And you know what I like about that is it's less mechanical features, so it's less to break down. And I also have the parts for it because I happen to have these, they call them linear ball bearings. And so those ride on a rail, so I have an easy way of sliding it. So as of right now, I've got all the parts I need. So I'm in this about, let's see, the cutter head was 75, the motor was 45, so we're at 120, and then the two pulleys would be 155, and the belt is I don't know, 165 total. Oh, and then the linear ball bearings, those were 16 if you get the 6-pack. So I'm in it for now $180. So that is where I'm at with it, and it looks to me like cost-wise, you know, for another $150 more, you know, I could just go buy the Chinese planer and be done with it. But that's, I'm excited just to build this and see what happens. If it works, it works. If not, then what I could do is I could easily sell this motor, and I could easily sell that cutter head. The pulleys and stuff, I probably wouldn't be able to sell. We'll see. But I think it'll work out in a good way. And I've seen a lot of people use, obviously, the sled for the router, but I've never seen anyone use a planer cutter head and do the sled. And what I like about the sled version is to have a good flat reference edge. You know, I was thinking about how, like, you know, the other way of having feed rollers and, you know, like you'd have to really be exact on that because you gotta get the feed rate right. If not, it's like jerking back and all those things. And I know this by just reading about it. I've never owned a planer before, but it should go well. Anyway, that's my video today about the parts. And the other videos you'll see, again, subscribe. That way you can see the updates. And thanks so much for joining me today.